Hi, I'm Liron Cohen.
And I'm Mimi Torchin.
And you're listening to Lady Parts TV, the podcast.
Whee!
Hello, everybody.
Hi there.
We're taping the podcast a day early because tomorrow's my birthday.
Happy birthday to you.
Oh, thank goodness we don't need to pay any rights anymore.
Oh, yeah. You think they track us down?
Oh, these people are obsessed. Anyway, so forgive us if there's anything we're going to be missing on Thursday or Friday.
We'll catch up.
Yeah. So let's start with the stats. We have 21 shows that we've tallied, out of which 14, which is 66%, two-thirds were written by women, which is fantastic.
Yeah.
Very badly in the directing area.
Written or co-written.
Only 4 women directing, which is less than a fifth. And yeah, we had every day when we marked the shows, I was like, uh-oh, no directors. So, yeah.
Even if their names vaguely could have been interpreted
yes, we really
as
were
a woman's
hoping.
name, we would look it up.
Anyway, before we get into the podcast, we did promise you that we would talk about Westworld.
Yes.
But then we figured, first of all, is that how you're supposed to say it?
I do. I say it with reverence.
First of all, the
Finale.
coming Sunday is the finale, so we decided that it was worthwhile waiting until the finale, as long as we've waited this far. And then we decided we haven't done a vlog in a long time,
No.
and there are a lot of sci-fi shows this summer that are worth talking about.
Yes. Some I don't watch, but the ones I watch, I love.
Yes, we'll only talk about the ones you watch. As you figured, maybe this will mostly be a Mimi vlog, so it's kind of a Mimi corner. Anyway, so it's going to be
Nobody
posted.
puts Mimi in a corner.
Exactly. So we'll be doing that sometime next week, so keep up with it. And today we have some other things to talk to you about. So let's start with one of my favorite shows, and I completely did not expect it would be.
It was a big surprise.
we
I
barely
was
even
dragged kicking and screaming
Yeah, we barely
to watch
even wanted
it.
to check it out. It's called The Bold Type. It's on Freeform Tuesdays, and this is the second
season. Mm-hmm.
And
I think with the new showrunner.
It's
we
a
were
new
very
showrunner.
nervous because a new showrunner usually means the end of a show.
Right, the show was created by Sarah Watson, but the new showrunner is Amanda Lasher, and we were very worried that the show would change its character.
As they so often do.
I know.
Look what happened to Fear the Walking Dead.
I did read, though, that I think I read that she came in already as a fan of the show. So that's always a good sign, because it's not somebody who necessarily wants to put her mark on it, but wants to continue the wonderful things that they've already started. The show is starring Katie Stevens as Jane, Aisha Dee as Kat, Megan Faye as Sutton. That's the core friendship of these 3 wonderful girls.
And the very best one of all, their boss,
Melora
Hardin as Jacqueline.
Oh, she's so hot in this, and she's
she is.
such
And
a
she's-
wonderful boss.
Yes, I hope that I was as good a boss as she
I'm
is.
sure you were. Let's just start and say, if you don't know the show, these girls are all journalists in the fashion industry.
Journalists...
Well, one of them
to
does
come. Yeah,
one of them
style.
does styling, one of them does digital media,
Mm-hmm.
and one of them does actual journalism. And Melora Harding is the editor-in-chief. Also, Kat has a girlfriend, Nicole Boucheri, Adina, and they're
a photographer.
right, a Muslim photographer who's having some visa problems in the U.S.
Oh my goodness! What an original story.
But very much a relevant one. Unfortunately, the tragedy is that it's still relevant, not that they're repeating the story. But the lesbian relationship, I thought, is really wonderful. The first season, Kat,
She's older. She's
a little older, not
no,
really,
but I think
not
she's-
like Mimi and Liron older.
No, nobody's like Mimi and Liron older.
Except for Sarah Paulson
But
and
they're
Holland Taylor.
still not
Almost, though,
quite.
in the ballpark.
in the ballpark. But
No, but the first season, Kat wasn't even aware that she was a lesbian, so
I think they're a good at least 6 years apart. Or
anyway,
7.
they're both women of color, and there's also something about that Kat being an interracial and labels and all that other thing. They deal with a lot of different controversial subjects, but they as from what I can see, they've never chosen the cliched solution
No,
or
they
cliched
really
path to
haven't,
go.
and they really work through the problem.
Yeah.
That's what I really like. There's nothing quick that happens. They go through something. They are tested by this. There's a lot of thinking, a lot of talking, and then they come to their conclusions, or a result happens.
And what I love it is that they do it in the center of this is their friendship.
Mm-hmm.
They're so supportive of one another. They're never competitive.
Nope.
And their mentor, Jacqueline, it's all about the support, the encouragement. Sometimes it's tough love, but mostly it's just mentorship, which is so important. It's never competitiveness. All this women always like cat fighting and all that stuff. That's never happened.
To me,
that never happens on the
one
show.
of the best things that they did with this show was not make Jacqueline the Devil Wears Prada.
Yes,
they made her
they so could have.
And she's tough. She's, she's really in charge, but she's mostly supportive and wonderful.
Yeah, I just love her. And I loved this last episode that we had, which was all about body positivity.
Mm-hmm.
It was fantastic. They always do such empowering things. The girls, the reason we didn't really think we would like it is because they're very young.
They're children.
But they're so mature.
Yes.
They're I feel very connected to old-fashioned feminism as opposed to, and we'll get to more about feminism and its different waves in a little bit. They're very old-fashioned
Yes,
in
they are.
their approach to feminism, and I love that.
And they're darling and smart.
I really enjoy the
fun.
show. It's really great, well written, and it's always fun to watch.
Yes, they managed to do some tough questions, but it never becomes burdensome or heavy.
Yeah. So The Bold Type is on Freeform on Tuesdays. The second season is on right now. So if you haven't been watching, catch up and
start with season
and join
1.
us. Alrighty, season 4 of The Affair on Showtime has started, starring Dominic West as Noah, Maura Tierney as Helen, Ruth Wilson
who
as
has
Allison,
always been a favorite, but
since she played Alice, and she will always be Alice to me.
Alice in Luther.
In Luther. If you haven't seen Luther season 1, really,
the best,
really, and Joshua Jackson as Cole. Now, I know that it just started, but we've been having this problem since the day it began.
First of all, we've been watching this show reluctantly.
I know.
Every
what is it? What
season,
is it?
but we have a love-hate relationship with it.
It's
we
so
really,
bizarre.
Really do.
It's so perverse.
I know.
We really have been feeling about this show the same way since the day it started. And our
Maybe
biggest,
not the day it started.
The day it started.
I don't think so. I don't think I felt about it until I got into it and
it just got
saw
worse
its
and worse.
patterns. Yes,
But here's the problem that we have. The main
one
problem.
of the problems.
The main
but
problem.
the main problem.
This is supposed to be like what is a Rashomon?
Sort of a Rashomon kind of a thing.
Like how does
he see it? How does she see it? Sometimes it's how do 3 people see it?
4 people, yeah.
And 4 people.
It's all about how we interpret things differently, we remember them differently, we see things differently. Like our realities change according to our perspective.
Who the person is, yes.
However, there is a difference between interpreting something different, or maybe
remembering it a little
maybe I remember
differently.
that she was wearing a white dress rather than a lavender color.
Yes,
whatever.
I remember it well.
But there's a problem when they remember things completely differently.
So vastly different that it's like they weren't in the same room.
Right, and it takes away from the credibility
Yeah.
of the idea. It takes away from the importance of the idea of telling you, you remember things through your eyes and your perspective. And it's not like they're, as we were saying yesterday, it's not like they're 90 years old sitting there in the old folks' home thinking,
yes,
back
I
in the
remember
40s,
it well.
and yes, maybe then you would have big discrepancies in your memory.
No, I
But-
think what happened is they decided it was boring. I think they decided to tell the same story with just a few differences was going to be boring.
Well,
and so
see,
they
but-
made them different stories,
But
basically.
see, at some point, actually, at the beginning, they did repeat the same story from different angles. But then, in this, I think it was in the second season, they figured out, okay, let's repeat some of the things, but let's move the plot along, which I appreciated. But you
to
still
some
can't-
degree.
No, but the thing is, you still can't have 2 memories that are completely different. Yes, you can have, it was his fault, not my fault, and of course, from his point of view, it
Yes.
was her fault, not my fault.
She was wearing a green
aggressive.
dress, yeah.
No, or even
Right.
like she was aggressive when she said that. When she remembers that she was actually nice when she said
Right.
that, that could totally be.
Yes.
And
but,
that would have been a really interesting thing to see.
but there maybe there's 3% of it
Exactly.
that matches
all
in
the
any
rest
way.
is completely different, which takes away from the entire idea and the concept, which is a shame because it could have been cool.
Yes. The other thing is that everybody is so annoying
So
and
annoying.
damaged and self-destructive that you don't really like any
No,
of
you don't
them.
like any- well,
I mean, Helen we like the most because we love Maura
We love
Tierney,
Maura
and
Tierney
she's
because
funny.
she entertains me.
Yes.
And that's because she's a fine actress and they write some funny lines.
Yes, and
for
we
her.
love her, but she's still annoying.
Yes,
they
well,
are
she's,
all
and
annoying.
they're all very selfish and self-absorbed and very damaging both to themselves and to their surroundings. So, and I don't understand Noah, Dominic West. I don't understand his character's charm that all the women fall at his feet and want to have something with him. I really don't understand that.
Well, first of all, you're gay.
No, but I can see like
yes.
George Clooney
He used
and
to be cute,
Noah
Dominic
Wiley.
West, but he is
It-
not
it's not
that
even
charming.
About, it's not even about appearances. He is an annoying person.
Yes, but
He's
he can
selfish.
be charming.
Oh, I don't see
but
it.
when you don't know him, he can be charming. Yes,
Maybe. But and Ruth Wilson, as much as I love
We
her
adore
as
her.
an
We just don't
actress,
like this character.
the character is again so destructive to the point where it's just
and she's
hard
miserable,
to-
always
yeah.
miserable.
Yeah, Joshua Jackson,
Yes,
Cole.
I-
his character is the only
yeah.
one who's kind of decent.
Yeah, but he's
But he's kind of boring.
He's married to someone that I love, though. So, Caterina Saldana.
Oh yeah.
You know,
but that's kind of like the boring story. And because I love Helen, because the
it's
only
not going
person
to be boring this season. I saw previews.
But the only person I like is Helen. So, and they do one episode about Noah and Helen, and then the other person is about Cole and Allison. So I'm like, oh, next week is Cole and Allison. Oh, I don't feel like watching that one.
They've moved also.
Yeah,
Here's
they moved
something
to LA.
interesting is they've moved from the East Coast to the West Coast.
Only
although
Helen
Allison,
and Noah.
Right.
Yeah.
Is still, I think, in Montauk.
Yeah.
And so that gives it a whole new set of friends and change of scenery.
Well, and especially because it
and,
really feels like Helen is really out of her. She does not connect to LA
not
in any way.
at all.
She's
She's
so
a
New
New
York.
Yorker.
She's so
Right.
New York.
she's so East Coast.
And I like that they show the differences between the lifestyle, the two lifestyles. I also really like the idea of starting this gay son story. It started out interestingly. Hope they continue on
He's
with
very
it.
cute.
And I
And
like
everybody
the approach.
is all right with it.
Well, yes, but on
In
the
a way, yeah.
there are different kind of layers of all right and what's
He's
on the
all
outside.
right with it. That's what's good.
Yeah, I think so. Anyway, this is not really a recommendation. It's we've been having to talk about it for 4 years now about how much we are annoyed.
How do you feel about it? I'd be very interested to
Yeah.
know how.
How
I know
are
my
you?
friend Mary Jane loves it.
Really?
Yep.
She doesn't have our problems
Nope.
with it?
Nope.
Okay,
She's
then I
got-
really would like to know how you feel about it. I thought everybody felt the same way I did.
I don't think so because
Or I
they
wouldn't
all
have made
felt
it to fourth
exactly.
season. Anyway,
Although we're still watching.
That's true. Anyway, The Affair season 4 is now on Showtime, I believe Sundays.
Yes.
Now we have a new show that you probably haven't heard of because it's on one of those very kind of channels that
A pop-up channel.
Yeah.
Sort of like a pop-up store, a pop-up
it's-
restaurant.
I think it's new, the network,
Yes.
and it's been doing some very interesting things.
Anyway, it's the Paramount Network.
Yeah,
And
you may remember it because
Waco. Oh my
exactly.
God.
We
Waco.
talked to you about it a few
One of the
months
best
ago.
miniseries in the last several years, really.
Yeah. And this is a new show that's on Thursdays, and it's called American Woman. It's a half-hour show starring Alicia Silverstone. Silverstone, sorry. It was created by a man, John Riggy, but it is based on the true life story on co-executive producer of the show, who is also an actress and star of the Real Housewives of Beverly Hills, Kyle Richards.
Is it Kyle or Kylie? I guess it's Kyle. Mhm.
And John Wells is involved in this.
So
and,
that already lifts it up to a whole nother level.
Exactly. John Wells, if you don't know, he was executive producer
West
of ER.
Wing,
Yeah.
ER alone, though.
ER
Enough
alone,
He made his
exactly.
bones.
Anyway, so this show, going back to the feminist movement,
Takes place in the 70s.
right? And Alicia Silverstone plays a housewife, a wife and a mother, who, of course, as always, finds out that her husband has been cheating on her. And she's determined to make a life for herself and her children, all on her own.
Isn't it sad that you have to say, of course, as always, she finds out that her husband is cheating on her?
It is sad. I don't know if it's a case of that's a trope in television.
Or it's Just all men cheat.
Or it is, but I think that also in television it's very easy to propel a woman's story for independence and
Yes.
self-discovery by giving her a good enough reason to go out on her own. Especially
Although
when
she
we're
could always
talking
be single to begin with, but in the 70s,
Right.
this is the point: is someone who has spent their most of their adult life. She's not that old, is she? In her
No,
40s?
yeah.
Early 40s. As a wife and a mother, a very comfortable
Yeah.
wife and mother, and finding out what it's like when you have to take care of your very own self.
Not only
especially
that-
in a world where you can't even get a bank account without your husband's permission.
Well, I think this is a story that again is used in a lot of. It doesn't matter what era it is, because I think women who a lot of the time define themselves by their roles as wife and mother, and then they are forced to reinspect who they are and rediscover themselves and reinvent themselves.
Reinvent themselves.
But in the 70s, it's true, she has so many hurdles in front of her because she's never worked. She has no work experience. And of course, nobody in the workplace values wife and mother
right,
as
she has
work
no
experience.
experience whatsoever, though anyone can be a receptionist.
But this is a story. I think it's so interesting that now they're doing a story about the second wave feminism era, because this is third wave, or some women even think of it as post-feminism, which is insane.
Yeah.
The idea of it's like this is post-racist America. It's not.
Yeah, I think by the 70s you could do some things on your own, but
Thanks to
everything
the
was in
women's
her
movement.
husband.
But no,
yes, right.
but
was still in her, except for the house.
Anyway, women were still treated like shit in the workplace. They were
Absolutely.
still sexual harassment.
Sexual
was not.
harassment.
It wasn't
was
even
just a
considered-
given.
Yeah,
it was just a given.
exactly. And the fact that she now has to go out, again, and she's in her 40s, which means she grew up before the second wave feminism, and so she was raised to be a certain person, and now she's going to have to try to make it out on her own.
Yes, and one of her friends works in a bank, and you can see her struggles trying to get ahead.
Well, there's the friendship. These three women. The friendship is again added to the core of the series, which is wonderful.
It's a good, loyal, loving friendship.
There's also a subplot about a closeted gay man who works as a casting director in Hollywood. And this is especially at this time when women are trying very hard to reinvigorate, I think, the feminist movement. It is very important, I think, for women to see what the women in the 70s were doing, because that was
70s, 60s, 50s.
They managed to achieve quite a
So
bit
much.
that now women take for granted, which is why a lot of the third wave feminists have distanced themselves from the second wave. I mean, yes,
where
I
would
know.
you be?
I know there are
in
issues.
the kitchen, barefoot and pregnant.
I know there are issues of intersectionality and race and class and sexual orientation, but nevertheless, you can't take away from the awesome, and I do mean that in the literal sense of the word, achievements. And then, look at where we are now. We have to do this almost all over again. So it's a very interesting choice to, at this moment in time.
You mean sort of like The Handmaid's Tale?
I really hope not. I really, really, really hope not.
Because there's the ultimate of where it looks like things could be going.
I really hope not.
Talk about losing everything.
So women, keep your rage intact.
Oh, I don't think there's any way that we can't keep our rage intact today.
Well, don't stifle
I am in a
it.
constant
Don't
rage.
deny it. Cultivate it.
And by the way, we love Alicia Silverstone. She does something funny with her mouth, but I got
kind of
over.
distracting
Yeah, it's a little
sometimes.
distracting, but you get used to it. I forgave Kerry Washington, who I couldn't watch for a long time because of the way she twisted her mouth around. But she's very good. She's very strong.
And
She's
she has a
very
lot of
funny.
spunk.
She's adorable. She's got a lot of spunk, and I believe her.
Don't be fooled by the first episode. She evolves.
Very much so.
American Woman on Paramount Network, Thursdays. All right, we finished binging, and I do mean binging.
We binged. What did we do? Watch it in 2 nights?
No,
three. I
three.
guess.
But that's a binge for us because we have so many shows. Goliath, the second season on Amazon Prime, created by David R. Kelly and Jonathan Shapiro.
has a good
pedigree, yes. The first season of Goliath was very, very tough, but very, very good. The second season of Goliath was extremely tough.
It is so violent.
But
it
so
is so
good.
perverse, but it is really, really excellent.
And if you don't know the show, you might be surprised that we're talking about it, since it seems like it would be very male. Billy
And it
Bob,
is very male.
yes, but so Billy Bob Thornton is the lead guy, but as with the
He's
first
a lawyer.
season, right? As with the first season, he is surrounded by fabulous women,
powerful, interesting.
who, as far as I'm concerned, are the reason that the plot moves.
They're probably the reason he's still alive. Seriously,
it's true.
Although he is a very cool character.
Is.
He's a lawyer who was a very famous lawyer, and then he became an alcoholic. Something happened, and his life changed, and he was dragged out of retirement to help Patty.
Well, Goliath. The show is called Goliath because it's about the little people
guy against the big guy,
the corporations, the cartels,
government.
It's very, very depressing in that it really reaffirms to us how
everything
just
we believe about
money makes the world
money
go
and
round.
corruption in government.
Yeah. It's and the things that go on behind the scenes that we don't even know about.
Anyway, did we say the names?
Yeah, so the women that he's surrounded by, primarily, first and foremost, in our discovery, Nina Arianda, whom we didn't really know before this.
I knew who she
well,
was,
we knew
and
who
I
she
didn't
was.
even like her that much. We saw her in a play, which we didn't like.
Yeah.
I didn't quite understand her appeal. She got rave reviews and maybe even a Tony Award for Venus in Fur.
But
and then Patty came along.
Oh my God. And I have a feeling that she improvises a lot, and that since she's been playing the character, they've been having so much fun writing for her because she has the best lines.
And she's so original. She's such an original character. Her take on things is, I just adore her. Every time she comes on screen, it just lights up.
It truly does. She's fabulous, fabulous, fabulous. Also, we love Tanya Raymond, who played Brittany. Lauren Tom, who had a tiny, tiny appearance. I mean, one episode appearance that, as far as I'm concerned, should get her a guest appearance.
Yes, Emmy. And Julie Brister, who plays Marva, his secretary.
And
Brittany
season,
is a I don't know if she's
a prostitute turned
sort of
escort, right?
Yes,
an escort,
paralegal.
Turned paralegal. And in this season, Ana de la Reguera, who played Marisol,
who
was
God,
fantastic.
What a fascinating character! And I'm not going to tell you anything
don't
about
tell
it,
anything.
but I did keep trying to make excuses for her.
It is
I fell in love with her.
It is a very, very violent show. There's a very perverse subplot in this this season that's very disturbing. But nevertheless, it's a fantastic show. And I just want to say this because this really, really warmed my heart. It doesn't happen often, if at all. Alexandra Billings, you might know her from Transparent as Davina. She's a trans actress, and she played a judge in season 2. And what was so revolutionary about it is she did not play a trans judge. She just played a judge.
I don't find this quite as remarkable as Liron, because I think there are probably other trans people out there we don't even know are playing things.
No, I don't think it happens often.
Every trans character, Alexandra Billings, is a woman. She's a beautiful woman, and there's no reason why she can't play.
I'm not saying there is a reason. I'm saying that it hasn't been happening often. First of all, they had cisgender people play trans characters. It took a long time until we got trans actors.
We didn't even have that many trans characters
exactly to begin with.
Mm-hmm.
And then it was a big fight to get trans actors to play trans characters. Mm-hmm. And finally, we have a trans actress playing a character that has nothing to do with being trans, no mention of being trans, which is, to me, I've never seen before.
She's very wonderful, and she's very germane to the plot. And
I love her.
I loved her the first minute I ever laid eyes on her. She's very, very strong, very sexy.
She exudes intelligence.
Yes, she is. She's highly intelligent. It's a very, and she's important to this plot. And I think she'll be back.
I hope so.
I think this made it seem like she will be back.
Well, anyway, Goliath, don't watch it on a full stomach, but second season, if you haven't seen the first season, we do recommend you watch it. You can pretty much watch season 2 without having seen, but why would you?
But I would watch the first season, which is a really good season,
Yeah,
and you'll
why
get to
not?
know a little bit more about the characters and how they got together
And the first season had Maria Bello in it if you need it, instead of
Yes,
playing a lesbian.
playing a lesbian.
Or whatever. So Goliath is on Amazon Prime. The second season is on there right now. Go binge. And then, have a drink. All right. We have to end here, but we will hear you again. No, you'll hear us again next week. And we have a bunch of vlogs coming up. We have Talking Teal, we have Post-Up, and we have Summer Sci-Fi. So look out for the vlogs as well. Thank you for joining us as always.
Bye.
Bye.